What's going on, everyone? It's another edition of the Superstars podcast. We are live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. If you are not awake, we are going to wake you up. This is the wee hours of the people that hustle and bustle in the real estate world. Because let's be honest, Candace, we are busy during the day, right?
Yes, we are.
So we like to have fun at night, and Candace is no surprise to her because she does a lot of these podcasts, solo podcasts, I would say. Are you're what, pretty faithful? What are you? Is this a nightly thing for you?
It's a nightly thing. It's usually
Wow.
Wednesday nights.
Oh, I took it over.
I literally, Chad, I'm so dedicated. I got on there at 9:00 and I said, I'm getting off 9:15 because I got to be with Chad by 9:20. They know that I'm going to be on here. So they're probably.
That's what I'm talking about. So introduce yourself to the Superstars world, if you will. Tell us where you hail out of, your brokerage, all that good stuff.
Well, hello, Superstars world. I am Candace Solomon. I am a real estate broker associate in the South Jersey area. I'm broker by Fathom Realty. I've been with Fathom for almost 3 years, almost 4 years. I stopped counting, but about 3-4 years. Prior to that, I did 2 years at Remax and a year at Keller Williams. So little bit of hopping around, but South Jersey real estate is where I've been the entire time.
But listen, at this point, I would even call you you're a pretty experienced veteran. You've been through the flow at this stage, I would say, huh?
Oh yeah, I felt like once 2020 hit, I was like, "What is going on?" Like I have sold more than 10 houses. Like before, it was almost like house hunters a little bit. We might even get some negotiation going on.
So you got to tell me about that background. Is that a virtual thing, or is that a textured, physical, like layered wall behind you?
Oh, it's like a 3D, like it's plastic. It's real.
Oh, that is cool.
They're like panels. And
that is so cool.
I was hesitant to put them up. So full disclosure, they're up using double-sided tape. I wanted to see if I liked them first. I said, well, I'm not going to do any crazy glue or anything like that. But they've been up for like maybe a year now.
That is awesome. I'll tell you, it is one of the coolest backgrounds for someone like myself that does so many of these. I am a sorry individual. Like, and I even have a producer. And I go through all this junk and look. I mean, I'm in my basement on my kid's sofa right now.
Well, wait, you said it in the beginning of this episode. After a long day of work, it's the most comfortable place to be.
Well, we are going to deep dive with you. I had the pleasure of working with Candace on a real estate panel that we hosted back in February. Was completely awesome. And one of the things that I love about you is your social media game is so on point. It's so strong. I definitely want to talk about that, but let's start from the beginning. So are you South Jersey born and raised? Has this always been your stomping grounds?
It's always been.
Okay.
I am Camden County based. The only time I went to college in Baltimore for a year, literally a year, and I came right back and finished at Rutgers.
Okay. Where'd you go? Towson?
I went to I applied to Towson. I went to Morgan State. I was on their cheerleading teams.
Oh yeah. Oh, is that downtown Baltimore?
Basically. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Interesting. Okay. All right. We'll find out why you left in a minute, but more to that story. But so tell us, Camden County, where did you go to high school? Tell us about family life. Where did you grow up? Give us the whole thing.
So I'm born and raised in Camden.
Okay.
Yep. My family relocated to Lawnside. Right outside of Hatfield, Cherry Hill, all of that. For people that may not be familiar, but I moved to Lawnside right before it was time for me to go to high school. So I ended up going to high school at Haddon Heights High School.
I'm going to give you a little tip here. So I moved to Haddonfield and I live on Warwick Road. And when I first moved here, DoorDash couldn't realize that Warwick Road on Haddonfield and Warwick Road in Lawnside were two different places. So
Mhm.
my pizzas kept ending up in Lawnside. And eventually, the person that lived in Lawnside felt so bad, she used to drive the pizzas over.
You're kidding.
And I was so thankful. I was like, thank you. Like, my kids were so excited that, like, because I ordered DoorDash literally twice the same night. And she's like, I got it twice. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it the worst? And they like send a picture of the front of your house and you're like, that's not my house.
Yeah. And that's the part that makes you so mad. It's like, that's not my front step. But someone else is eating my pizza. Yeah. So
Oh
talk
my
to us.
God.
Yeah, for people that don't know, I actually am really intrigued by this. So tell me about Camden. I want your perspective on Camden as a city. I want to get the whole feel for it. Tell me what your take on Camden is.
You know what? I feel like the older I've gotten, the more my take has kind of shifted a little bit. You know, when you're younger, you kind of just see things for what it is.
Mhm,
So you'll see, the activity on certain corners, or you'll
mhm,
hear about what's going on, with family members of your classmates or whatever. And
mhm,
it was just nonstop all the time growing up.
mhm.
Which I'm sure was like one of the biggest reasons why my parents were like, no, we got to get the kids out of here.
Sure.
Another thing to add, I aside from like super like young kindergarten and all of that, I
Mhm,
went to private school
mhm,
in Camden.
mhm,
So I wouldn't say I didn't have like that actual like public school experience that a lot of like my family members and stuff do that also live in Camden. Um,
mhm,
but I did have more of I'll admit, a sheltered um
mhm,
experience, if that makes sense.
mhm,
So my take on it is a little bit different.
mhm.
And my exposure is a lot less than like my peers and stuff like that. Um,
It's funny, like Camden to me, like if you look at it, it has the makings of something awesome because of its proximity to the water, because of
mhm,
its view of Philadelphia. There's just a lot there. And at one point, I know Drainoff had started developing. I believe it was Drainoff developed some high rises and residential spaces pretty close to the Rutgers Camden campus, right?
yeah. Mhm,
And they started to make their push for that. And I guess it's had a lot. And then the Sixers built their practice facility there. So
mhm.
there's been some things in the past decade or so,
Oh yeah.
economically to try and boost. And Campbell's is there. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of really interesting things in Camden that it's like, to me it's kind of like Philly. You root for Philly. I lived in Philly for a long time. I still work in Philly a lot. And obviously I'm addressing it from the standpoint of the negative connotations, but as someone who's lived in Philly, and then for someone who's lived in Camden, there's got to be some things there that really have the promise and potential, you know what I mean,
Oh
for
yeah.
that future,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
it's just intriguing to me. And now that I've moved over to the New Jersey side of things, and I am super close to Camden, and we do go and do things in Camden, there's just, to me, I'm rooting for it. I'm rooting for Camden like I was rooting for Philadelphia.
Mhm. And
It's
it's
a,
funny, and that's what I was saying, like, I feel like my perspective, like, kind of shifted as I got older, because when I was younger, like, in the 90s, you could go and play outside, and, you have those neighbors that are sitting out on the porch and they're looking out for all the kids on the street and all of that. And
yeah,
then it seemed like, maybe around the 2000s, it kind of shifted. And now parents are like, oh no, like, you're not going outside. Um,
interesting.
but now, like you said, and I'm sure this is more so because I'm now in real estate, I'm starting
Mhm,
to see all the buildup.
mhm,
Downtown is insane. Um,
mhm.
and even like Pollock Parkside a little bit, which used to be super hot. I mean, they're putting hospitals like
Yeah,
virtually smack in the middle of it. So,
yeah,
and the medical professionals are moving down there and they're investing, and so the buildup is happening.
yeah.
And I feel like there may be, some resistance from the people that are already there because it's change. And we know
Mhm,
how, strenuous change can be sometimes. Um,
mhm.
but like you said, I see the change coming, and I'm rooting for it too. Camden definitely
Absolutely.
needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you a Donkeys fan? Oh,
I love
you can say
donkeys.
hi, by the way, to everyone.
I
You're
can. Yes, because I
absolutely.
see my friends. Hey, G. They just got engaged. I'm so happy for
I
them.
know. I know. She was totally shocked. Look at this hair. It's killing me here. So donkeys. Let's talk about donkeys for a minute, okay? I have not had donkeys, right? You got to tell everyone. So donkeys, in essence, is a cheesesteak on a round roll, right? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a
Yep.
cheesesteak on a round roll, and it's in for lack of a better term, a dive bar, right? It's a dive bar. That's what people
Basically,
tell me.
yep.
Yeah, so you
Mm-hmm.
go in, it's a dive bar, but from what I've told, it rivals some of the best cheesesteaks on the other side of the bridge.
It's amazing. Like if you don't want, you ever go somewhere you get a cheesesteak and it's so skimpy, like there's hardly any meat in it.
Yeah.
Donkeys is like the complete opposite. It's probably like 3, 4 times the meat than the bread.
Mm,
Like
mm.
huge sandwiches.
Are
And they're
you a
really
meat
good.
eater? You don't look like a big meat eater. You're svelte. I'm a meat eater. I don't know.
That's
I mean,
that's another thing that I feel like has been changing. I'm not vegan or vegetarian or anything like that,
yeah,
but I have definitely been cutting back. I'm like mostly
yeah,
seafood,
yeah.
chicken, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you're young. You're
And
not even.
look at it.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Does it help if I say that I'll be 30 in like 3 weeks?
Everyone is so young. It's unbelievable. What are you gonna do for your wait, I gotta hear this. What are you gonna do for your 30th?
You know what? I feel terrible because as of now, I don't have plans. I thought I was gonna have this big old birthday party and I was gonna
Mm.
invite like everyone in America, but
Yeah.
like I just never planned one, and now it's in like 3
Do
weeks.
you think someone's gonna surprise you?
You know, I tried to like nudge my sisters to see if they
Yeah.
were gonna do something, but I don't think they are. And they're all like, go on a trip. I'm like, okay, so you guys are sending me away. Okay. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, listen, there's some value to that. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when you have kids and things like that. I mean, this is funny. My wife and I, we have a birthday party, a 40th birthday. Sorry, not we're way out of your league. We're in
No,
the
you're
next
fine.
zone, right? We have a 40th birthday party in North Jersey on Friday, and the closest hotel is the Short Hills Mall, the Short Hills Hilton, right? So
Uh-huh.
we researched this hotel. This is how old I am. We are so excited because it's away from our kids for one night. We're talking about it like it's a vacation. It's like a cheesy ass hotel near some freaking mall in northern New Jersey, and we're excited like we're going to like Hawaii or something like that. It's
It's
ridiculous.
your night away. Okay. Make the most of it.
It's ridiculous.
That
It
is
is.
so much fun though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I mean, look, I think when it's not yours and you can be a guest at other people's, it's
Yeah.
way more fun. I totally agree. So I want to know about mom and dad and siblings. How many siblings? What was life like with mom and dad? Were you super close? What did they do? Like, give me that whole thing.
Gotcha. Okay, so I grew up with both parents,
Uh-huh.
mom and dad, and I am the third of 4 kids. So
Okay.
I have an older brother, an older sister, then there's me, and a younger sister.
Got it.
Me and my sisters were all 13 months apart, literally. And then
Wow.
my brother's 10 years older than the rest of us.
That
So
sounds intentional when you think about it, right? It sounds like
literally, we're like just all back to back, like stair steps.
yeah.
I'm like, did you guys plan this? Because it's too perfect.
Now, are you guys all tight?
We're really tight. We're
Like
all really
Destiny's
tight.
Child tight, or what do you?
Right, right, yeah, like we're still siblings, so we have our little, moments and everything. But they're my best friends. My
That's
sister was
awesome.
just here a couple minutes ago, and the other sister will be here tomorrow. Like
That's awesome.
they're like my best friends.
That's great. That's really, really. My wife
Mhm.
is one of three sisters, so I can relate. I see the bond. I completely understand it. So,
Mhm.
and are they all local still? They're all in the area of the family.
Yep. So, my dad actually still has the house that I grew up in Lawnside.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so my sisters are still home with him.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then I'm next town over in Magnolia. So
There
we're
you go.
all super, yeah,
Super,
still
super
super
close.
close.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Very cool. That's awesome. So tell me about yourself in terms of your adolescent years. Were you a musician, an athlete? What were you into?
So growing up, from the time I was 4 up until high school, I was into dance,
Mm.
really into dance. I wanted to be a background dancer, like, so bad. I flew to Utah when I was 12 to audition to be a dancer in the High School Musical movies, like, on Disney Channel.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
You could not tell me that I did not belong on Disney Channel. Like, I wanted to be on somebody's
You know
television.
what? I could see that. I can see that. I can see that in your personality.
I
Yeah.
wanted to do it so bad. And funny thing is, I went through the audition, everything went well, and I was 12 years old at the time.
Mm.
But the requirement, because of like child labor laws or something, was that you had to be
Yes.
13. But I wanted to be there so bad that instead of saying I was born in 94, I said I was born in 93. So that's how I got the audition. So we end up flying to Utah. I'm like
Why
doing
Utah? Why Utah?
I don't know why they had us in Salt Lake City, but I think it's where they
I
shot
don't
the
know.
show.
I can I be totally honest with you?
Yeah,
When I think of Utah and kids, I think of like the I don't know.
I already know where you're going.
Yeah, it's like weird for me. I don't know.
I thought it was so weird, but I so wanted to be on this movie, and I'm like, I know I'm only 12, but I'm almost 13, so we're just gonna go. And I didn't tell my family that I like lied my age, but because I'm a kid, like I didn't think it was a big thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as I audition, like the director of the movie comes out and he's like, "Who's Candace?" And so I raise my hand, like I'm thinking about to meet Zac Efron or something.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's like, "How old are you, Candace?" And I'm
yeah.
like, "Well, but I'll be 13 in like 6 weeks." And he's like, "You gotta be 13." So I flew all the way out there and then couldn't even do
But
it.
why did you tell him the truth?
You said, "Why did I tell him?"
Yeah.
Once they like, you go to get hired and all of that, they want your birth certificate. They would have found out
Oh, okay.
They would have found out eventually,
I
but
got you.
I was, like, crushed after that, and then I went to
Yeah.
Haddon Heights High School that didn't have a dance team, so
Mhm.
I and that's how I got into cheerleading.
So Haddon Heights, were you there when Hassan Reddick was there?
Yep, I was 1 grade, ahead of him. We're the same age, but
Ah,
I was
okay.
one grade ahead of him. Yep, that's
The
my guy.
pride of Haddon Heights, and is it the Garnets? The Garnets? How
Yeah,
do you
Garnet.
now, what is that, a jewel?
It's a rock, yeah. We used to laugh about that all the time, like, it is so not threatening or scary at all.
That's awesome.
We're, like, going against the bulldogs and
Yeah.
tigers, and we're a rock. Like,
What was your mascot?
we didn't even have one. They tried to make one of, like, a devil that was walking around with the rock, but ideally, the rock was the star. Like,
Oh my god. I swear to God, I just don't understand towns sometimes. I mean, makes no sense to me at all. That's
well,
crazy.
Audubon is the green wave.
Really?
Are they still the green wave?
I don't know. I thought that was the name of a swim team around here. I have no friggin' idea.
No, that's their whole mascot, like a green wave.
I don't know. Listen, I get at some point you just get sleepy in the suburbs, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. But was Haddon Heights cool? Was it a cool place? Was it a cool high school? Did you like growing up in the area?
Yeah, when I first got there, I was miserable, but that was because all of I was from Camden, so I
Mm.
didn't go to Lawnside School, which was all the kids in my town and everything. So once I got to high school, I didn't know anyone. And
Mm.
so I wanted to go to like creative arts or Camden High or something. And my parents are like, we did not move you to Lawnside for you to beg to go to Camden High. Like, no. So, so Gianna said Sean was the
Yeah, he probably was. Oh God.
But once I got involved in the school, I'd say once I got into cheerleading and everything and just getting involved in meeting people, I ended up loving the school.
Did
Like
you? Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely loving it. Even after I graduated, I went back to coach for a little bit, like
Oh,
assisting the coach.
cool.
And right when my real estate career started, I worked part-time at the Haddon Heights Board of Ed office, like just
Ah.
assisting them with stuff. So yeah, those rocks, love them.
You know what? The communities are cool around here. I can totally dig. Each surrounding community has its own little vibe, and everyone seems to be extremely spirited and happy where they come from, and I dig that. I think it's cool. I grew up on the Pennsylvania side, and it wasn't as I don't even feel like it was as close knit, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I mean, it was cool, but I didn't feel like that. I don't know. I didn't obviously didn't go back to Pennsylvania, so
Well, this part of Jersey's funny where we have like 15 little mini towns that are only
yeah,
a square mile. So
yeah.
they all they're like mini gangs. Like
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, are you a religious person? I
I'm
know, Ken. I like Pennsylvania. I'm not talking crap. I know. You can make left turns in Pennsylvania. It's a great place. I get lost in South Jersey all the time, by the way. All the
really?
It's very confusing. And I've lived here for 4 years now.
Mhm.
Very, very confusing.
I refuse to get my license in PA because just the thought of like going over there, I'm like, I can't just where do I park? I don't know.
It's true. It's very true. It's very, very true.
Mm,
Are you a religious person? I see
I
the
am.
yeah.
Yep. So my dad is a pastor. My dad's a pastor.
I knew it. I knew I was gonna dig to something. I was like, all right, I could tell the music and the creative arts. Okay, good. Now we hit it. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay. Talk to me about this. Let's dive a little into that.
Okay.
Yeah, talk to me about the pastor stuff.
So it's rough. Like so being a PK as they call us, a preacher's kid,
Uh,
there's like this certain judgment that comes with it. Like when it comes with like your friends and stuff like that, you're not as fun, you're not as cool, or maybe there's some things that you're not supposed to do, or
See, I
you
disagree. I'm gonna contest that belief. Okay.
yeah, because
Because
they always say the PKs are the worst ones.
no, so have you seen well there's two movies. There's Footloose. Have you seen Footloose?
I have, yep.
I mean, the preacher's daughter in Footloose was the complete opposite, right? And then there's the what is it? The preacher's wife with Whitney Houston. Is that what it is? So
Yep.
I don't know. I think at least in the movies they glorify it as something totally different.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. It's a cool life to have, I guess. In certain aspects though of things. What I can say, especially now being an adult, it does still feel like you're on this pedestal that you really didn't sign up for. I feel like there's a spotlight on
Interesting.
me all the time.
Yeah.
If I do something wrong, it's like, oh, like Candace did this. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta watch what you post and
Yeah.
little weird stuff like that. A lot of us just become rebels and we just say we don't care and we're just gonna do what we want.
I get it. And then he used a lot of God and other figures to put some the fear of things into you. Would he tell you to try and steer you the right path that the higher beings were watching over you, or not so much?
Honestly, not so much.
Yeah.
Like, and the funny thing is, like, when I would experience all those like the judgments and the generalizations and kind of like stereotypes of a preacher's kid,
Mm.
once my friends would like come to my house and actually meet my family, they're like, wait, your dad's like cool. Like he wears sneakers. I remember one of my friends was like, your dad wears Nike. And I'm like, is he not allowed to wear like no, not at all. My dad has a very even with his ministry now, like as a pastor, just a very down to earth way about him. And
Mm.
he works in Camden, he preaches
Mm.
in Camden. He has a heart for reaching out to people that wouldn't generally come into the church. And so to
Hmm.
do that, you have to have a certain kind of approach anyway. You can't be that super, stuck up and I'm up here, you're down here
That's
kind of
true.
approach. And
He's
he's
more
never
relatable.
that way.
Yeah, he's more relatable. I get it. So did you guys grow up every Sunday? Is that was your thing, half day in the church, like that kind of thing?
Basically,
Yeah.
yep. And sometimes the weeknights, like after school, because I was on like if we had to praise dance or we're on the choir or there's practice for this and
Wait,
practice.
what is the praise dance? What is that?
It's literally like so when I would go to dance school, we'd have like a hip hop class or a tap class or whatever. But
Oh,
praise dance is, I mean, it almost resembles a blend between like jazz and ballet. But it's
You
to
know
God.
what I was thinking? I was thinking of like the rain dance. Ever see like the rain dance? You know what I'm talking about? Where they want it to rain and they say, I grew up Jewish. I don't know any of this stuff.
Oh yeah, y'all don't dance.
No, we're the opposite, actually.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious. Okay, so that's good. I mean, do you feel like it kept you grounded to a certain extent? Like, did it, like, do you, now that you're a mother, do you see
Mhm.
the benefits of it? I guess is the best way to say it.
I do. I feel like when you have some kind of religious foundation or
Mm,
anything that's like that keeps you like morally sound, I feel
mm,
like it almost doesn't matter like what I experience in my life or if there's some difficulties that I'm experiencing or whatever. There's always some kind of like magnetic pull that brings you back to wherever that center is. And I do feel like what my mom and dad would instill in me as a child, it definitely like it still sticks. And I see it in the way I parent my son. Even
mm,
when I put him down, for bed and stuff like that, I pray for him like every single night.
mm,
Um, and he's only 4, so he, doesn't know how to pray yet and stuff like that. But I remember my parents praying over me and my sisters and my brother until we got to the point where they would teach us how to pray. And
mm,
then they would come in the room and we would all pray before bed. And so
mm,
I know once my son gets older, like that's something I'm going to do with him. But I
mm.
wouldn't have done that had I not had that upbringing. You know what I mean?
You know what? You bring up really valid points that I think are universal to any religion,
Yeah.
which, if you have the ability to find that center and use it as a compass, it allows you to deal with all kinds of shit in life.
Yeah.
And what a really important thing to remember. And what a cool, it's a really good way of thinking about it. Because the hardest thing we have as parents, I think, are giving our children tools to help them get through stuff.
Yeah.
And if religion helps you to find a balance and a center, especially as you go through different aspects of life, I mean, in essence, you've succeeded as a parent,
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And just knowing how much it helps me, it's like I want to give this to my son so that it someday helps him because he's going to have
Yeah.
his own struggles and stuff that he's going to have to deal with. And if these are things that's helping me get through, it's my job as his parent to now do that for him. So it's kind of like a cycle. And I see why, like now that we're talking about this, I see why a lot of times with religion and everything, it's
Mm,
generational.
mm,
The funny thing is like even when you asked me about like how that was growing up and stuff like that,
mm,
I do feel like when you're under an umbrella of like strict religion. So in
mm,
my case, it wasn't super strict because my parents were still cool and like, gave us that freedom to like have our friends and stuff like that, but they're still like pastors and preachers and stuff at the end of the day. So there's a certain level of, discipline and strictness and everything.
mm,
And when there's that, all of us have a point in our lives where we kind of like rebel against it a little bit, or
mm,
we want to go out and experience life and all of that. But I feel like it doesn't matter how far out you go, that foundation is still there.
mm,
When I would try to go out and I'm hanging out with friends or I'm wearing certain clothes or whatever, when something's in you, it's in you, and you'll stick out like a sore thumb even when you try to blend in.
mm,
And I think it's so important to, whether it's religion or just certain like moral like principles that you
mm,
instill in your kids at a young age. It doesn't matter what they experience. If it's in them, it's going to be in them, and it doesn't matter how far they go, they'll come back when they know to come back. And I feel like I got to that point in my life too where it was like, okay, this is my foundation, and I know like it's time to come back, girlfriend.
yeah. What a cool thing to give to your kids, and like the ability to think deep and have that own sense of awareness and analysis. It's cool, man. I dig it. I really do. And it's funny, as I've gotten older, I think like even now I'm, and even in our business, it's funny. Like I'll relate it to real estate. A lot of people will get to a point where they want coaches, right? And they want coaches because they want to dive deeper. like, why, what am I doing wrong? What more can I do? You know, they're trying to find all these things about themselves, right? And then get someone to like say, hey man, come on, like let's go kick yourself in the butt. But in reality, it's the same thing religion does when you think about it, right? It allows you to take a step back and put things into perspective and find answers to things. So I dig it. Like it's funny, like I grew up, and I keep saying I grew up Jewish. Yes, I'm Jewish, but my wife's Irish Catholic. Our children are baptized. No, I don't care. We were married by a priest and a rabbi. And now that I've gotten older, I don't really consider myself in practice in the sense of practicing a religious person,
Mhm.
but from like a higher being spiritual individual, I'm getting deeper into that now that I'm getting older
Yeah.
because I'm having those internal dialogues more, and I'm having those dialogues with God too, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's cool. It's cool.
It
But
is cool.
yeah, it really
That's
is.
one good thing, and I meant to say this earlier when I was talking about like what I'm putting in my son. Another thing I respect that my parents did to a certain extent was to kind of give us the freedom to have our own relationship or our own, you know, spiritual encounters or experiences, to where we're not going to force you to practice this religion, but you know, this is what I do, and this is how I feel, and this is
Mhm.
what, you know, our family's going to do. But once you get older, like you said, you start having your own encounters and your
Yeah,
own conversations, and now it's like, okay, now this is all for me, not because of
yeah.
what, you know, what I was brought up under, but now this is what I believe for myself.
And how smart were your parents? Because, you know, to have the foresight of you can't force feed that stuff. You
Yeah.
can't, because if you do, it has the opposite effect. You
Hmm.
want people to come to their own decisions about themselves. And the fact that they were that open about it, I mean, kudos to your parents, man. Like they did a hell of a job. I mean, I really that's awesome. It
Yeah.
really is. And honestly, the having those people in your life as your rock and your center and guiding you in those aspects of life, that's awesome. I mean, that to me, it's completely. I understand why you are who you are, right? 100%. A
Yeah.
100%. That's cool. Really cool. All right. So we went deep there. Um, now that we've gone out of that, get me through. I always tell people, get me to where you got into real estate, then we'll dive into it. So when you're done high school, you went to no, you said you did Morgan State and then graduated from Rutgers, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Rutgers main campus. You go to was that Piscataway? Where is that?
I was actually downtown in Camden by the waterfront.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
What'd you study?
Business.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. You did that. And then when you graduated, you went and worked for the Board of Ed. Is that what you said?
Yep. So I did a number of things. I bounced around a little bit.
Nice.
Couple different like school districts. So I did a little bit of I worked in the Lawnside school. I
Mm.
worked at Woodland right outside of Camden.
Uh-huh.
Worked at their school. I've coached in Woodbury, then I went over to Haddon Heights. So I kind of like hopped around a little bit. Um,
Mm.
just getting a feel of different things. For some reason, because I was coaching cheerleading on the side, you know, volunteer in the community and everything at Lawnside, I thought I wanted to maybe make a career out of that.
Mm.
And so I was in different school districts as their cheer coach, or, you know, different like little league teams and stuff like that. Just to kind of get a feel for it. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, you know, long term. But when
Now,
I got
did you do competitive cheer?
I did. Hmm.
Yeah, so like there's a Netflix movie or show on this junior college, and I can't remember where they're based out of. I want to say Texas. Do you know the Netflix show?
I cannot think of the name of it, but I know exactly which
The
show you're talking
program is insane.
about. Hmm.
It's insane. The level of intensity is crazy.
Hmm.
Like, I have a much deeper respect for that entire organization and the whole way of doing it. That cheer stuff, man. That bring it on. That is real. That is real.
We would like fight for like our respect. Like it is a sport. Like you
Yeah.
should see what we're doing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mhm.
I absolutely understand that. But that's cool. Like so you really and again, maybe that's the whole discipline and the sport and maybe that builds more into your character and me. And again, it's me understanding more of why you are who you are, and that's cool. That's cool. So all right, so you bounced around, did the schools, did the coaching. You said, all right, it's not for me. Okay, then what?
So all the mentoring and coaching and stuff, and especially working with kids, made me feel like, okay, well, I don't know why I went to school for business. I want to be a teacher. So that's how the Board of Education jobs started to come into play. So I did a couple years working in Lawnside. I worked in like their pre-K kindergarten classes. I swore I was going to be a teacher. And then I got a full-time job at a mortgage company, being a loan
Ah,
processor.
oh,
Completely random.
wait, being a what?
A loan processor. I was a processor.
Oh,
Yep.
the sexy stuff.
Not at all. Not at all. But that was my gateway into it. It just made sense for me. I didn't
Yeah,
want to do it per se, but it was
yeah.
like, okay, Candace, you went and got this business degree, but you're working with pre-K kids. Like it just doesn't make sense. So I
From,
felt
from pre-K to loan processing. Oh yeah, baby. Oh
literally. Literally.
yeah.
So I did that for 3 years and it stressed me out so
Mm,
bad. It
mm.
stressed me out so bad that I ended up leaving.
And for people that don't know, the loan processors are the unsung heroes of the mortgage world. I will tell you that I have someone, I will not call her a loan processor. She is my absolute right hand man. She's amazing at what she does. If it weren't for her, there's no way I would get half the stuff done that I do. To me, she's equivalent to a transaction coordinator, an assistant. I actually just call her a teammate. Amazing. Like but to your point, once that loan goes into the underwriter and it comes back out with the laundry list of crap, they're the ones literally asking you for your green card and your passport and this bank account and your blood sample and all this other crap. And it's just, oh my God. Sam is the best, Shiana. Sam is the best. Thank you.
We're
So
like,
anyway, so you're doing the mortgage stuff. You're doing the dirty work of the mortgage business, right?
mhm.
And I am sure you're like, there's no way I'm staying in this, right?
The
So
crazy thing is I loved what I was doing, but I didn't like how I was doing it. Like I didn't like the cubicle. Everything was like phone and email. I would never meet these people in
yeah,
person. And
yeah,
then oddly enough, like there were a couple times, like I'll never forget one time a couple closed on a house. And the processors don't come to closing.
no,
But I show up to work one day and there's edible arrangements on my desk. And they're like,
wow,
one of the clients, they saw the office address and like your email signature and they wanted to send you something. And it was just like, wow, like what I'm doing is making a difference.
yeah, that's nice.
But I'm such a people person that it's like, I want to see these people. I
Mm,
want to, interact with them. And
mm,
so that's kind of where the shift from being a processor to being a real estate agent came from, because it was like, okay, I want to help people get to this goal. I do love this, but
mm.
I got to get out this cubicle and but still be able to get them to the same goal.
Dig it. But you hated it enough where you were like, screw it. There's no way I'm going to be a loan officer.
It was rough, man. Oh, the spring and summer. I mean, the fall and winter, it was like, okay, like
Yeah.
I can get with this, but spring and summer,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, it is quite an emotional roller coaster. And I'll tell you, no matter what, and it's funny, like I've been doing this long enough now that I've seen enough. I swear to God, I put in these deals and I pray to God every time because there's always something else that's like what I call them road bombs. That's what I call them, like the IEDs, the explosive devices. That's how I think of things now. It's like I pray when the commitment comes back that it's clean. I pray that like everything I did in that pre-approval was accurate because if I screwed up somewhere, my realtors are going to hammer my ass. It's gonna be like it's just oh my God, like it happened to me. Like I swear to God, last week, I I put this thing in, and they come back childcare, and I didn't even know that. Did you know this? Your childcare expenses go into your debt to income in a VA loan. Childcare expenses.
Childcare.
Childcare expenses. Like if you pay for daycare, and I'm like, what? And
You're like, where's that guideline?
I've done so many of these, and I'm like, I've never seen that. And I'm like, this is unfriggin' believable. I do panic. I do panic. I panic. I do. I panic because I swear to God, I feel like I get gun shy because I'm just waiting for the sky to fall with these friggin' things. I swear to God. And I am I'm not the guy who like won't pick up the phone like the day before. I'm like, oh yeah, we're not closing. Sorry. I'm the guy that like 4 weeks before I'm like, holy shit. Like oh my God. Anyway, so my point is I feel you, sister. Get out of that part. Yes. Okay. I feel you. I totally get it. But sadly enough and sickeningly enough, I love it and I'm addicted to it. So anyway, going past all of that. So talk to me about how you became an agent.
Towards the end of my time as a processor, I didn't know it was the end of my time at the time, but I was buying my first house. And just observing, first of all, the fact that I was buying a house and had been a processor for like 2.5 years at this point, I went in the process assuming that I knew enough of the process. But I had an agent, she was awesome. But she kind of showed me that there's so much more to a transaction than just the loan piece. And I was like, wait a second, like I like what you're doing and you're good at what you're doing. And then, she started talking to me about how, she's a real estate agent and, what it entails and all that good stuff. And I literally closed on my house and maybe a couple months later signed up for real estate school.
That's awesome. And it's a good thing you did it in that order because otherwise you wouldn't have gotten a loan maybe.
Oh yeah, nope. And the funny thing is, being a processor, you learn the guidelines and because we're reviewing the docs and everything before they go to the underwriter. So I had a really good sense of knowledge of I was a temp employee at the mortgage company, and it was only supposed to be for 6 months. Those 6 months turned into like a year and a half. And I kid you not, I was like, I know I can't be a temp employee to get a mortgage. I got to be like full time for 2 years. So I'm like timing the 2 years and a day I submitted my loan application.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's your first gig in real estate? Do you work with this agent? Did she mentor you at all or?
She didn't. My first deal came from when the mortgage company I was working for found out that I got my real estate license, they were basically like, girl, you got to choose. You either be a real estate agent or you stay here. And I was like, whoa. I ended up having to leave that company I worked for. I processed at another company who didn't mind as long as I wasn't processing my own deal.
Yeah, I figured that. That's so your first mortgage company were a bunch of idiots because there's no reason you shouldn't have stayed. Sorry, mortgage company number one, but it's true. Like, why couldn't you have done both? I don't know.
They didn't want me to. They at the time that I was in real estate school, they were actually trying to push me into being a loan officer because they knew I wanted to get out of the cubicle. And they're like, you have the personality for sales. So they really wanted me to be a loan officer. They were going to put me in Center City. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Philly.
Yeah. They're throwing you to the wolves. That's what they're doing. Okay.
They told me it was a gold mine. I was like,
oh, yeah, it's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. Oh, yeah.
So I chose the right path then, huh?
Yeah, it's a gold mine. It is a gold mine, but it's what they don't tell you is how expensive it is and how long it takes to cut a piece of the pie for yourself. That's the one thing that people don't understand about our industries, period, right? Yeah. Real estate and mortgages. It takes time and it takes money to build up your business. It really does. And it's what I call a slow burn. It's not the $1 million listings overnight.
Right. And that's what so many people think. And sometimes I think it's Selling Sunset's fault, but at the same time, you gotta know that this stuff isn't real, people.
Oh man, I'm a junkie of those shows. Are you?
I love them. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I can pick out the the nonsense from.
Yeah, Selling Sunset is in a league of its own in terms of the bullshit. Yeah. But if you're a reality TV junkie, like the villain, what's her name? Christine? No, what's that? Yeah, Christine, and then Chriselle. or
Yeah.
yeah, Chriselle. Oh my, you fall in love with the character.
Love them all.
Mary's a boss. Like, yeah, I love them all. I mean, it was a good show. I watched. You watch Buying Beverly Hills? Did you watch that one?
I watched a little bit of Buying Beverly Hills, and I think I was trying to be so team Selling Sunset that I felt like I was cheating. Even selling the OC, isn't it the same? It's still
Yeah,
it's still Jason
it
and
is.
it's a
Yeah,
different
it is.
nation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But you know what? You know what? It's the most amazing thing to me with all of these shows
Uh,
is like you think in real estate that certain personalities do better than others, right?
yeah.
You would just think that. You're like, and I think about it because we're naturally competitive, I think. Like I won't lie, no matter what. Kumbaya, we collaborate. Okay, I know, I get it, but we're competitive, right? We're competitive by nature. That's why we are who we are. I look at people that do well, and I'm like, this guy's a douchebag, right? And you sit there, you can't wrap your head around it sometimes.
Mhm.
And then you watch these shows, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Jason and Brett are nice guys, but they're robots. They're
Mhm.
like doormats. They're nothing like they're two small, bald-headed twin guys that moved to LA, and they built this $100 million empire. And you're sitting there and you're like, they're not even that cool.
Nope.
I,
I
I
mean,
just
it's probably really like weird in real life, but how'd you get so good at this?
but it's crazy because you and I will get so passionate about this amazing 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath home in gorgeous Cherry Hill, New Jersey, right? And they're selling these $50 million mansions and they don't even have to talk. They're like, yeah, and that's it. And they make more. One sale is our 4 freaking years combined. It's
Yep,
like ridiculous.
it's nuts.
Oh my god. Anyway, okay. All right. So anyway, selling South Jersey is not selling Sunset, people. That is the message here. Okay.
At all.
But let's talk about this. Is a great segue. So um I do want to talk more about your career and your trajectory. So we'll do that. But then I want to talk about the brand that you have now because you've developed your own brand.
Mhm.
Which is cool. I dig that. All right. So you get in, you start out. Who do you work for in the beginning?
In the beginning, I was with Keller Williams.
Keller Williams. You drank the red Kool-Aid. A
Right.
lot of people like starting at Keller Williams because it's very structured and there's lots of programs. And by the way, I ain't hating on Keller Williams. I will tell you the funny thing. The Keller Williams South Jersey places, the offices, especially the one in Cherry Hill, I
Mhm.
happen to like the people there a lot. It's a little bit of to me, it's not like every other Keller Williams. I feel like a lot of the Keller Williams and other places, they feel very corporate to a certain extent. I
Yeah.
don't get that vibe from Cherry Hill. Like Brian, oh, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Brian. I don't know. Whatever. Brian. I'm sorry, Brian. You're gonna watch this and you're gonna be like, you're a jerk, Chad. But Brian and the people that run that Keller Williams Cherry Hill, they're cool people. I
Mhm.
actually dig that one. So anyway, which one you probably weren't out of that one, were you? Where were you
Yep, I was
at?
KW.
Oh, you're out. Okay. All right, good.
So when I was in real estate school, I was recruited by a team leader who was at Keller Williams. So I didn't
Ah,
really interview around to see like
cool.
who I vibed with. I just
Yep.
kind of came in under the team.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so you did Keller Williams Cherry Hill, and then why did you leave that?
So I got kicked off the team after a
Nice.
year.
Why? Production? Why? I'm curious. Production?
So basically, and the funny thing is they're still a team to this day, and we're all
Mm,
still really cool. Like
uh,
when it first happened, there was a little bit of like, oh, like you guys, y'all a little messed up. But
mm,
after a while, both sides began to understand, why we went our separate ways. And so now we're cool. But the
mm.
reason why was because I was in the beginning of my career all over the place
So
as
let's
you
go tit for tat. Let's do this. This is going to be fun. I've never done this. So you started with Keller Williams Cherry Hill. All
uh-huh.
right. I started with Supreme Lending in Exton. All right. I'll tell you my experience. My experience was a very and I hope he watches this because I really don't care. A smug, a little bit of an arrogant individual who thought that teaching me the mortgage business was having me watch the stock ticker all day. Didn't teach me how to sell one loan, didn't teach me how to generate one lead, didn't teach me how to develop one relationship. However, I needed to produce. right? So I'm speaking negatively about this experience because the reason I left that place is because of a shitty leader. So okay, that's me. So that's me. I'm just telling you. So you, Keller Williams, you leave that. Okay, then where do you go next?
So I got kicked off because I didn't fit the mold of what they wanted me to be, essentially.
Uh,
And so I said, okay, well, I'll just be a solo agent, but I felt like a number at KW Cherry Hill. So I went to Remax Preferred right up the
okay.
street in Cherry Hill.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you did a solo job there. All
Yep.
right.
I was solo there for like 2.5 years. And then I got tired of paying fees and I came to
Mhm.
Fathom.
Got it. Okay. And then when you went solo, did you have to basically learn everything on your own in terms of lead gen and figuring the whole thing out, or did you learn enough in that 1 year, or where were you at in your whole career?
Honestly, it felt like I was starting over because I really didn't, and I mean, we're still cool to this day, so I don't want it to come off the wrong
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I really didn't learn much the
I was
year.
I was actually a lot more negative than you are, by the way. I just point blank went to the throat and said that my first guy sucked. So
And I had such a
if you're
like
watching, first guy, sorry, I'm just being honest. You didn't teach me anything.
thing.
You taught me nothing, and I figured it out on my own. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't be here. So okay, next.
Had such a slow start in real estate though that honestly, I'd say by like 8-9 months, I thought it wasn't for me because I had not closed the deal.
Mm,
I didn't close my first deal until like the first year was up, and
mm,
then after I closed those deals, they sent me an email giving me the boot, and that
mm,
was literally how it happened.
mm.
So at that point, it was like, okay, well, these deals that I got, one was given to me from the mortgage company that I had left, the mortgage company that I was working for.
Interesting.
Um, that's where I got one of my first clients from. And then my cousin was another
Mm,
buyer. So I had those two buyers close on the same day, and those were my first two closings.
mm.
Team leader took his cut and then kicked me off the team, and then I
Nice.
started fresh by myself. But I felt like I was starting over from scratch.
Mm. So when you
I
do
did.
that at that point, what's your where are you at in your head? Are you are you building out databases and hitting up your spheres of influence? Are you buying leads? Like what are you doing at that point?
I wasn't buying leads at this point. It was like, okay, what I was doing the last year obviously didn't work, so let me do
Mm,
something different. And literally the only change I made was I stopped being a secret agent.
mm,
I was too afraid to post because I didn't want to be annoying.
mm,
Um, but instead it was like, okay, I now have proof of two closings and I
mm,
milked the heck out of those two closings. Like
mm.
separate post about the closings, and then I'm talking about different parts of the process and this is what happened. And so now I'm a content creator before that's even like a thing, you know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. Huh.
And that was like my proof. I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
Mm,
Um, but social proof is such a thing that if you don't have any closings, it's not that you can't get business,
mm,
but it's something about when you post that you closed on something. And it's like the response from other people is, oh, she really is doing this. Like, look, she has
mm.
a real client right here. And so when I saw the reaction out of the one post, I was like, wait, if I keep doing this, then people will see. You know what I'm saying? And so it was kind of just like I took those
Interesting.
two closings and I ran with it.
Very cool. So then did the next couple of deals and leads come from social media?
Basically, like they were people that knew me from different places. Like one was my closing after that was um a family member of one of my friends, and then another one was a church member. But it
Mm,
was, oh, I saw your post on Facebook and I'm looking for a realtor. But it all came from, hey, I saw that post on Facebook.
interesting.
Hmm.
Very, very cool. Okay. So you start to see that happening. Are you then becoming more intentional with social media? Do you think you turned it from an unintentional or a thing or occurrence to now like is that did you dive into it head on at that point?
At that point, once I started seeing it work, and I was like, wait, so I can get clients using this free app? Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm being more intentional about it. But
Interesting.
my marketing was kind of different in a way where I wanted to be in front of people, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to like shove real estate down everyone's throat.
Mm,
And so I would kind of mix it in a way. So I might post something funny, or I might say something about my kid, or, whatever. And so you'll see my name,
mm,
but maybe between every few posts, now I'm saying something about real estate. And now it's a reminder, oh, hey, there's Candace again. She done sold another house, or,
uh-huh.
whatever.
So it's Candace TV with some real estate commercials.
Kinda. Yep. Mhm. Basically. Basically.
That's
When I start
cool.
when I start getting questions like, "Hey, Candace, are you still in real estate?" That's how I know I need to add a couple more commercials, because why are you asking me this?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's very cool. Okay. So
Mhm.
so the real estate, so tell us now, bring it to present day. What are you doing? Well, actually, you know what? Time out. I know nothing about Fathom. I want to hear about Fathom. So Fathom, are they an independent brokerage?
Fathom is the easiest way to describe it is they kind of resemble EXP just a little bit, in the
Okay.
sense that they're virtual and they're
Got
in a ton of
it.
states.
Got it.
Um, the
Oh,
big
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the biggest difference and the reason why I joined was the fees were so low.
Okay.
And I was in a space where I prioritized the fee structure and what I was bringing home and stuff like that
Mhm.
over what's being offered to me. And I will say, as a real estate agent and now having a lot more experience, that's not always the best way to go.
Mhm.
But from coming from Keller Williams, who was taking almost 40%, and
Mhm.
then Remax, that was another, and
Mhm.
like just
Mhm.
feeling like I'm doing a lot of the work, but not exactly getting, 40% worth of help. It was kind of
Mhm.
like, okay, I need to go somewhere where if you're not going to help me, at least you're not taking so much from me.
That makes sense. That's logical, though. That's
Mhm.
logical.
So
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
like my thought process, but that was before I knew anything about. I wasn't using CRMs or
right.
like any of that kind of stuff to know that there's like value props that brokerages do have for
And that
agents.
was gonna be my next question. What are the things, the additional things that would have maybe changed your decision, or how do you think things differently? So just, I guess, in-house stuff that makes life easier, like automation in marketing or communication and things like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Candace, the realtor 3 or 4 years ago, probably
Mhm.
wouldn't have been thinking too much about this now. But now
Mhm.
that I'm here in this space and I'm full time, and I'm closing regularly, and now I'm using CRMs and everything, and I'm paying for them out of pocket, it's
Mhm.
definitely something where if I would have been interviewing other brokerages and they said, hey, we have this split here and it is a percentage. However, here are things we offer. It was like, okay, well, I'll take this meeting. Like,
Got it.
we can talk
Got
about
it.
this. Now I see the give
Got
and
it.
take.
Yeah, because the one thing that people don't get is that there's a struggle at every level, right? So initially, the struggle is to get the business, right? And then the next struggle is, well, how do you grow? And then the next struggle is, now that I've grown, how do I keep it going, right?
Yeah.
How do I make sure that now that I am full time, and this is what I'm using to feed my mouth, how do I keep doing it? How do I keep up with it? So it's an interesting evolution of pains.
Mhm. It's so true. And the crazy thing is, so I've always wanted to get to where I am right now,
Mm,
but now I have such aspirations to do so much more.
mm,
But I've kind of like plateaued in a way. And I feel like all like real estate agents get to that point too,
yeah,
where like when you continue to do the same things that you're doing and nothing else, you plateau and you only do what you do.
sure, sure, that makes sense. So tell
Mhm.
us, what are some of those goals? What are some of those dreams that you have?
So last year I got my broker's license.
Mhm,
And so I love like the reason why I do the lives and stuff. I'm getting more and more agents on the lives too. So now some of them are geared towards,
very cool.
here's how you submit a winning offer,
Right.
and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Um
How new or how recent are the lives for you? Is that a year? Like, when did you start getting heavy into that?
oh, the lives came pandemic. So we're talking
Okay.
2020, something like
Yep.
that. As far as doing them every single week, that's probably like 2 years ago, maybe.
Okay. And are you finding that to be the most, is that the biggest change in your social media game, is the lives?
I'd say yeah, because that that's the biggest contribution to my consistency, because if I
Got
don't
it.
do anything else, you're going to see
Got
a
it.
live every week.
Got it. And you know what? I can relate to that because we used to try and shoot this show not live,
Mhm.
and I would shoot it, and then I'd wait on the edit and the this and the that and the blah 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 blah. And you and I were built for lives.
Yep. One of my friends said the other day, he's like, "You have the gift of gab," and I was like, "What is that?" Now I'm talking, I'm like, "I got the gift."
What it basically means is you and I could go on through the wee hours. People wouldn't be watching, and we'd still be talking.
I realized that about myself. One week I was on live and it said no one was on there. And I was still going.
That's, you know what? I'm going to tell you what you just said. If you ever are thinking about doing lives, that is 100% the test.
Oh
If
yeah.
0 people are watching and you're still creating content, guys, you are made for lives.
I can just go on and on. Like I just won't look at the little number.
That's so funny. So, okay, so you get the broker's license.
Mhm.
You feel like you're now speaking to other agents. Are you thinking broker, or are you thinking team leader? What are you thinking?
So right now I have a small team. We just
Uh,
had it's just 3 of us. And I was promoted at Fathom. So now I'm the district director of South Jersey. So the way
cool.
Fathom is set up is they have one state broker for every state. But
Okay.
because like you know how Jersey is, north versus south and that whole thing, our broker is up in North Jersey. So
Mm,
when you ask her question, she's going to give you a North Jersey answer. So
right.
they said, okay, well, we need a broker here in South Jersey who's a little more localized. And so last year they promoted me
Oh,
um,
cool.
to that. So I'm not the broker, of record per
Right.
se, but I'm everyone's go-to as far as South Jersey is concerned. Um,
Okay. That's
so this
cool.
is my little like the little taste of like management experience kind of thing. If I can be honest, I know I'm meant for a lot more.
Mm,
So I do see a change coming soon.
mm.
But it's
What does
good.
that mean? What does that mean? What are you feeling?
I feel like I noticed
Listen,
that
just so you know, Candace, I don't let little things slip, man. I'm
I
I'm
learned
I'm
that real quick,
I'm a
Jay.
I'm a master interviewer.
That's okay. I just feel like so ideally my job when someone wants to come to Fathom and they're located in what will be my district. So they're somewhere in
Mhm,
South Jersey. They have
mhm,
to speak to me before they can onboard.
mhm,
And even if someone's on the fence between us and another brokerage or whatever, a lot of times they're like, well, I'm not too fond of the brokerage, but I love like your personality and the fact that you would be my go-to person. I want to
mhm,
come here just to work with you.
mhm,
And even that, like that attachment, that alignment, and just having that kind of like magnetic personality, it's like I know I could do so much more
mm.
than just being an overseer of an area and like I don't even have an office. I would love to have a space where every month or once a week I'm teaching classes and I got new agents in here and they're learning
Mm.
how to do the contract and I want to do those things but I'm just not in the space
So
where
so this is the culmination of life for you. This
yeah,
is the teacher, this is the coach, this is the person who couldn't be in the cubicle. It's
yep.
all coming together.
Mhm.
It's all coming together. I dig it, man.
It's crazy how like the story and the way things
Yeah.
the stuff you experience and everything and now it all comes full circle. I love being an agent, but I love the mentoring and the coaching piece so much more.
Mm,
I love the satisfaction of assisting my clients.
mhm.
Um, but I think educating them is more of what I like, more so than, the tedious stuff, if that makes sense.
It does, and to be honest with you, this is the joy of me doing this show, and I always tell people, we are gonna get to this point, and we always get to this point at the very end on purpose, because we literally started from the beginning, and people always say, "Chad, you always do this show like this," and the reason I do it like this is because then we end up at the aha moment, right? So the aha moment is you are where you are now because of everything else that's happened in your life, right?
Mhm.
And it's really intriguing to me that things are very clear for you. Like you're very there's not very much unanswered. It's very clear. You know what you want. You know what you're good at. You know what feeds your soul,
Yeah.
right? And that's why you're on the Superstars podcast. I mean, that's just the way the world works.
Right. Everybody doesn't get an episode.
So I got to tell you, I knew I was going to have fun talking to you, but I loved it. I really enjoyed our interview. Everyone, we are going to have Candace's episode live on superstarspodcast.com. I like to put pressure on Jason and say it will be up by the weekend, but we'll be realistic and say it'll be up by Monday because I have him working on 1,500 other projects. Poor Jason. I am spearheading a big safety initiative in Haddonfield, Candace. I started a quite an interesting conversation on the parents group that's led to an organization that's led to a town hall, and it's now become huge. So it's called Haddonfield Safe, and we are trying to shed light on some of the crimes that have happened in Haddonfield. And a lot of people are like, Haddonfield? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, as a matter of fact, we've had a slew of robberies, home invasions. When people were home, there was a video out that was actually taken down by the authorities because they're saying it was impeding the investigation. We as a community are starting to get very concerned because no one's talking about it.
Right.
So I got pissed off and I took it to Facebook, and now we're having a huge town hall next week, and it has consumed my life.
You're
So
like Martin Luther King for Haddonfield. I love it.
so it's really going to be interesting in the coming weeks, but this is the crazy crap. I did a change.org petition. I had Jason work on a logo for Haddonfield Safe today. We have an Eventbrite going out. We're sending out a press release tomorrow. I mean, it's insane.
We're gonna have you like running for like city council or something.
Oh,
Watch.
I don't know. You know, it's funny. They said that, and I literally, that's not what I want. That is not what I
Yeah,
want.
I didn't sign up for that. I was just concerned.
But anyway, I had so much fun talking to you. I definitely want you to come back on. For anybody out there that's interested in purchasing or selling in the South Jersey area, how do they get a hold of you, darling?
I am Candace the Realtor on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Find me on Instagram though, because I don't be on TikTok like that. Uh, I'm Candace Solomon on Facebook, and oh, I see the banner at the bottom with my contact information.
Yeah.
Can the people see that too?
Oh, it's been on the whole time.
Oh, wait, I just don't pay attention. All right, well, there's my contact information.
Well, everyone stay tuned. We will let you know when the episode is out. We will be airing all kinds of recaps from this episode. As always, we hope you learn more about the amazing people in this industry that I work with and why they are superstars. So thank you for watching another edition of the Superstars podcast. Follow us on superstarspodcast.com and at Superstars Podcast on YouTube. Everyone have a wonderful night. And Candace, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Peace.